How to stop anxiety. Anxiety. We've all felt it. If you haven't, you're either incredibly lucky or you're lying. It's a gnawing pit in your stomach, the racing heart, the endless what-ifs looping in your head. It sucks, and yet anxiety isn't some problem glitch in your system. It exists to protect you. Our bodies evolved to feel anxiety as an alarm for danger. But there's the thing. In our modern lives, that alarm often goes off when there's no real danger in sight. Think about it. When was the last time you truly needed anxiety to save you from immediate peril? A life or death situation where panic had to kick in? Probably not very often. In fact, researchers back this up. One study of chronic worriers found that 91% of the stuff they worried about never actually happened. 91%! Yet it sure feels like something bad is always about to happen, doesn't it? Anxiety makes us feel like a catastrophe is around every corner, even when reality proves otherwise. Most of these alarms are false, but when you're in it, when that wave of worry hits, it feels 100% real. Why does that happen? What's going on in our brains? Let's break it down. Anxiety's original purpose, a helpful alarm, gone haywire. Anxiety actually serves a purpose. It's basically your brain's built-in alarm system for danger. Picture our early ancestors out in the wild. If they spotted a predator, their brains needed to jolt them into action fast. Enter anxiety. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, fires off. Adrenaline kicks in, and you either fight like hell or you run for your life. That jolt of fear kept our ancestors alive. Anxiety, in its original form, was a good thing. Fast forward today. You and I aren't often stalked by lion or hunted by rival tribes. The threats we face now are usually not life-threatening. A looming work deadline, an awkward social situation, stressful, sure, but not a tiger attack. Yet our brain's alarm system doesn't know that. It reacts to a scolding email or a crowded room just like it would to a bear in the bushes. The same fight or flight response floods our body with panic. It's as if your smoke detector goes off because you burnt a piece of toast. Loud alarm, no actual fire. In fact, the human brain often misfires this fear response at harmless situations, a false alarm that is constantly going off. Over time, if that alarm keeps blaring and we keep reacting to it, our brains start to think that this is the new normal. You can get stuck in the on position, hyper-vigilant, always expecting danger. You might feel anxious all the time and not even know why. Your poor amygdala is just pulling the fire alarm at every hint of smoke, even when there's no flame. So anxiety is not your enemy in essence. It's an overzealous night guard trying to protect you, hitting the alarm button way too often. Unsure if what you're dealing with is anxiety? There's a simple assessment in my bio that can give you clarity. I also have a coupon code for 20% off online therapy if you're ready to talk with someone professional about it. The vicious cycle of anxiety. So what happens when the false alarm rings? Typically, it traps us in a vicious cycle. It goes something like this. First, there's a trigger. Maybe an intrusive thought or a stressful situation. For example, you get invited to speak at a meeting or attend a big social event. The what if. Almost instantly, your mind spits out what if thought. What if I completely embarrass myself? What if everyone judges me? Now your brain perceives a threat in that situation. 3. Alarm bells. Your body's alarm system kicks in. Heart pounding, palms sweaty, you feel anxious. This is your brain yelling, danger, we're in trouble. Even if the danger isn't truly life or death. 4. Escape or compulsion. You hate this anxious feeling. Who wouldn't? So you do something, anything to get relief. Maybe you decide not to go to that event after all. Or you go, but stay glued to your phone in the corner, avoiding eye contact. These are what psychologists call safety behaviors or compulsions. Basically, actions to escape the anxiety. Temporary relief. Immediately, you feel better. If you skip the event, you're safely at home with Netflix. Phew. If you went but avoided interacting, you made it through without the feared humiliation. Relief washes over you. Reinforcement. Here's the catch. Your brain takes notes. It says that was a close call. Good thing we avoided that situation or hid from it. We stayed safe. In reality, there was no real danger, but your brain doesn't realize that. It only knows that you listen to the anxiety and survive, so it reinforces that avoidance behavior. In psychology, they found that every time you avoid what you fear, you essentially tell your brain, yep, that was too scary to handle. And the only way to cope was to avoid it. This strengthens the fear response going forward. Now, you're stuck in a loop. Next time a similar situation comes up, your brain will yell, danger, even louder, and it will urge you even more strongly to avoid it. You comply, feel relief, reinforce the fear, around and around it goes. This is the anxiety trap, and I don't blame our brains for it. They think they're protecting us. It's like a miscalibrated fire alarm. It means well, but it's freaking out over burnt toast. Every time you run out of burning kitchen, when there's actually no fire, you teach the alarm that this was right, so it keeps on ringing at the slightest hint of smoke. Breaking free. How to restrain your anxious brain. So how do we break out of this cycle? How do we teach our brain to chill when there's no real danger? We do something at first sounds scary. We stop obeying them. This means no more compulsive avoidance. When the anxious voice in your head goes, abort mission, escape, you do the opposite. You stay put in the situation. If the thought is, what if everyone judges me at the party? You tell yourself, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I'm going anyway. If the thought is, what if I have a panic attack on this flight? You board the plane and take that flight anyway. In short, you face the fear instead of fleeing from them. Easier said than done, right? Absolutely. Even those moments, your anxiety might spike even higher because you're defying it. Your brain's screaming, danger, and you're not running. It's gonna freak out a bit. You'll feel uncomfortable. Maybe very uncomfortable. Your heart might jackhammer, your thoughts might race, but there's a crucial fact to remember in that moment. These feelings can't actually hurt you. A panic attack feels like a heart attack, but it isn't one. It won't kill you. Panic attacks are not life-threatening. They're just intense feelings and they will pass. Remind yourself of that when you're riding the wave of anxiety. Also, panic attacks are a very energy-consuming behavior, so your body is not able to stay in that mode for too long, so it will go over after a while. What you're really doing here is called exposure and responsive prevention, or ERP, and it's the backbone of the most effective therapy for anxiety disorder. ERP is basically training for your brain. You're gradually exposing yourself to the thing that causes your anxiety. That's the exposure part, and prevent your usual response of avoidance or ritual. That's the responsive prevention part. This approach is evidence-based and is considered the gold standard treatment for OCD and anxiety disorders. Why? Because it works. It teaches your brain through direct experience that nothing truly bad happens when you face fear. So here's how it plays out. You put yourself in an anxiety-provoking situation, say attending that social event you'd usually avoid. Yes, you feel anxious. Maybe your anxiety is screaming at volume 10, but instead of escaping or doing your safety ritual, you stick with the discomfort. You stay in the situation long enough for something incredible to happen. The anxiety peaks and then it starts to fall. You realize you're okay. People aren't pointing and laughing at you. In fact, most didn't even notice your nervousness. The dreaded outcome either doesn't happen, or if it does, it's not as catastrophic as you imagine. By not running from the feeling, you give yourself a chance to see reality clearly. Do this repeatedly and your brain begins to learn a new lesson. Psychologists describe it like rewiring your fear circuits. With each repeated exposure, the association between trigger, like a social event, and the alarm response gets weaker and weaker. In essence, you're proving to your brain that this danger isn't real, so the brain should stop freaking out about it. Over time, that same trigger will provoke less and less anxiety, until eventually, being in that situation feels manageable, or even normal. You've broken the link. The false alarm finally quiets down. Crucially, when you're doing this, you also practice making room for uncertainty. Every time a what if pops up, what if I panic? What if I embarrass myself? What if X happens? You resist the urge to answer it or seek 100% certainty. Instead, you respond with something like, maybe that will happen, maybe it won't. I'll have to wait and see. This embrace of uncertainty is key. It tells your brain, thanks, but I'm not going to play the what if game right now. You're breaking the habit of constant problem solving when there isn't a real problem in front of you, embracing anxiety instead of fighting it. Now, this approach takes courage and a lot of practice. It's uncomfortable. Let's be real about that. You might be thinking, so you're basically telling me to feel anxious on purpose and just sit with it? That sounds terrible. And yeah, at first it kind of is, but it works because you're finally treating the cause and not the symptom. You're restraining that overprotective brain of yours. It's important to understand that the goal here is not to magically never feel anxiety again. Everyone feels anxiety sometimes. It's a normal emotion. Don't fall for those clickbait promises or the self-proclaimed gurus who say that cure your anxiety forever in 10 easy steps. That's snake oil. The truth is, there's no quick fix, no magic pill, and that's okay, because you don't need to eliminate anxiety to get your life back. You need to change your relationship with it. Stop treating anxiety like an enemy you must eliminate. Instead, think of it as an annoying but ultimately harmless companion. You can even welcome it. Oh, you again? Alright, come along if you must. Just stay out of my way because I've got things to do. This almost casual attitude toward anxiety can be incredibly empowering. You're no longer running from it. You're acknowledging it without giving it authority over you. When anxiety shows up and there's no real threat around, make a conscious choice. Lean in instead of pushing it away. Feel that discomfort and tell yourself, this is fine. I can handle this. Remember, anxiety itself can't hurt you. It's unpleasant, but not dangerous. By constantly responding to your anxious thoughts with maybe and not shrug, and refusing to do the old with avoidance rituals, you are cutting off anxiety's fuel source. The fear cycle starves and weakens. Your brain starts to get the message, oh, they're not reacting anymore. Maybe I was sounding the alarm for nothing. Over time it will stop yelling so loudly. The frequency and intensity of those false alarms will drop as if your brain adapts to reality instead of scary what-ifs. This is a long-term strategy, a lifestyle, really. Every time anxiety flares up, you have an opportunity to practice. It's not a one-and-done cure, it's a skill you hone over a lifetime. The amazing thing is, it gets easier with time. First exposures are the hardest, but each repetition you build confidence. You realize, hey, I felt anxious and did the hard thing anyway, and I survived. Actually, I'm proud of myself. That pride, that freedom you feel after doing something your anxiety told you not to do, that's the feeling we're aiming for. It beats the temporary relief of avoidance by a mile. The bottom line is to stop anxiety from ruling your life. Stop giving it so much power. You can't control the initial pang of anxiety that might show up whether you like it or not, but you can control your response. You can choose to treat it like a false alarm, unless proven otherwise. Look around. Is there an actual tiger in the room? No. Then it's probably just your brain being cautious. Take a breath and say, maybe there's something to worry about, maybe not. I'm not going to fix this feeling right now. Then carry on with what you're doing. This simple, not easy, but simple practice, done over and over, literally rewires your brain's response to fear. One day you'll notice that a situation which used to paralyze you with anxiety now only makes you a little nervous or doesn't bother you at all. That's when you know your brain has finally gotten the message. You've broken the anxiety cycle. You've taken your life back from false alarms, and it all starts with that brave moment where you feel the fear and do the thing anyway. You've got this. So thanks for watching. Click on that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.